Hello, everybody, and welcome to this joint webinar with ForNAV and Ciellos. I'm Jens Sillerman, and to help me today, I have Lee from Ciellos, and I have Michael from ForNAV, one of my colleagues. So we're going to talk about how ForNAV can help you do reporting much better moving forward. And I know many of you are already working with ForNAV, so see this as an update on some of the things we have been doing for a while. And we will definitely also show you some of the new things that we have released recently. And Michael will also have a sneak preview of something that will come in the upcoming version 7.2. So that should be a little bit for everybody. And just to stress, ForNAV is for all versions of Dynamics 365, whether it's on-prem or cloud. And of course, we will also support the upcoming BC23 that will be released within the next couple of weeks. So really what we want to do is to help you as partners to move away from reports being something you'd rather not talk about and really turn it into a competitive advantage. So what are the challenges with reports and print in Business Central today? Well, first and foremost, I think when customers ask for what they believe are smaller modification, very often they end up with a rather big offer or a rather big bill for getting this done. And that is simply because the tools that are in standard Business Central, they're not very efficient, especially not if you don't work with them like on an everyday 8 to 5 basis. Then they can be rather cumbersome to work with. And the other thing is that in most cases they require skilled and scarce developer resources, whereas with ForNAV you can move the reporting job into consultant or more junior type of developer people. Another very important with Business Central and especially with cloud is that now that Microsoft are releasing new versions every 6 months, when you do reporting with standard tools in Business Central, in almost every case you will start out by taking a copy of a report and then modify that, and that means you have sort of lost the connection to updates, which again means that when Microsoft come up with new things, you basically have to go through and update your reports manually. And of course, again, then you will have the discussion with the customer who's going to pay for that. Another challenge in Business Central is direct print. If you want things on paper, whether it's a sales invoice or maybe more relevantly like a label, in standard Business Central you have to go to the printer and print enter or press enter for every single report. As you know, the web client presents a preview and then you have to go and say, okay, I want it printed on that the specific printer. That is, of course, not a very productive way of working. If you imagine a warehouse and you just need to get boxes out of the door and you need to put on labels, you simply want the labels to be printed out. You don't want this long time-consuming process of having to press enter for every single document. We have solved that as well. And then we have also added some Excel reports to our report pack, and the benefit of that is that we have actually built in these Excel reports so they are aggregated, which means we don't transfer hundreds of thousands or millions of postings, but we do it in an aggregated way, typically postings per month, so you can have it much faster, and you don't have situations where your transfer of Excel data are actually stopping because it simply times out. So that's also solved with ForNAV. Then of course you might ask yourself the question, is reports still relevant? If you ask Microsoft, you might get a little in doubt about the answer, but I think if you ask customers, it's definitely a clear yes. Even though people don't print the reports on paper, they still want, especially the external document, to look nice and professional. but also to contain the right information. And here we don't just talk about fonts and colors, but we also talk about things like traceability and so on. And again, when you buy a cloud solution at, I don't know, 70, 80 US dollar per user per month, you don't expect a huge bill for doing what customers believe are smaller modifications. And that's exactly what we can do with ForNAV. We can do things in an easy way. To some extent, the customers can even do smaller modifications themselves. We also have a translation tool as part of our product. Terminology can be a challenge, and it can be very difficult to change terminology in Business Central. So if you don't call your customers customers, if your customers call their customers something else, it's rather cumbersome to do that changes, and we have a solution for that as well. So just to kind of summarize on where we have increased capabilities in Business Central. Well, first and foremost, we deliver over 90 brand new standard reports as part of the package. And in most cases, or in many cases, customers can actually use our standard report pack more or less as it is. It looks nicer. I will show you some examples in a few minutes. But it's also very easy to modify these standard reports. And also very importantly, when we modify our standard reports, the changes are saved as custom report layouts. So that means we are not touching our code, which again means if we update any of the standard reports, the changes the customers have made or you have made for customers, they will still be running on top of the new version of the report. Also, very importantly, we have what we call the dynamic data set. I'm sure all of you are familiar with columns and defining the data set in RDLC before you can actually modify a report. You don't have to do that at all with ForNAV because as soon as you have selected a table, you have full access to all fields, including captions and including whatever extensions you made to a table. So no more columns. You can just drag and drop whatever fields you need in a report. We also integrated barcodes and QR codes into our solution, so you don't have to deal with fonts or anything like that to get barcodes on the reports. And also importantly, the barcodes, well, first and foremost, they are embedded in the report. So like I said, no need for installing any fonts. But it's also vectorized graphic, which means you can scale the barcode up and down as much as you want. They will still be readable by the barcode readers. We talked about direct print. We will come a little bit back to that. Very importantly, our direct print feature is not just for ForNAV reports. It also works with Word and RDLC reports. We have the Excel reporting and we have the translation tool that I briefly mentioned. So to kind of summarize on this, we have our report pack with primarily all the document reports, labels, some statistics, and for North America, we also have a check report with Mikafont. We have the direct print capabilities, very easy to set up and work with. We'll come back to that. We have our designer tool that we're going to show you very shortly. And then we have our converter that I'm sure most of you know. We can still do that. We can still convert from Classic all the way to Business Central 23. But we can also convert between Seaside and AL, and we can convert between on-prem and cloud. But enough PowerPoint. Let me switch to actually show you what we can do, or at least some examples of what we can do. So what I have here is a standard Business Central running in the cloud. Now, whether it's running cloud or on-prem, it's basically exactly the same from a ForNAV perspective. The only thing I did here is that I installed the ForNAV app from AppSource. It's available there as the customizable report pack. And that means that as part of the installation, I also replaced all the report selections in Business Central. Now, you don't have to do that. You can do that manually, so you can have a combination of standard reports and ForNAV reports Or you can do as I did, because this is like a demo. I basically installed and replaced all the ForNAV reports. So that means I have my list here of all the reports that comes in the report pack. Oops, moving a bit fast here. Documents, labels with and without barcodes, service report, and the Excel reports. But of course, this is not how you would typically run a report. Typically, you would go, for instance, to orders, and you say, okay, I want to print an order confirmation, and we can just do it here as a preview, and then it will show the ForNAV report instead of the standard report. And of course, in this case, I'm running on a US Business Central. So that means I have automatically a letter format, I have sales tax, and all the other things that are specific to the US version. You'll notice here in the left side, I have these green leaves like a watermark. We have a number of watermarks on our website that you can choose from. But these watermarks are simple PDF files. So if you have a customer who wants a background or watermark, you simply save it as a PDF and you link it to the report. Likewise, with the logo, we have opened up for other graphical formats than the ones that are standard, which, for instance, means you can use PDF. And again, there you can have vectorized graphics, so you can scale logo, picture, and so on as much as you want. They will still be laser sharp. But let's take a look at how we can actually modify this report. And one of the unique features in ForNAV is that we have what we call templates. Imagine you have an invoice, then you typically also have a credit note, you have an order confirmation, and you have a number of other sales documents that are more or less the same. So instead of having these and having to maintain these as individual reports, we said, why not take the things that are the same, put them into a template, so you only have to maintain it in one place. So what I'm going to do now is that instead of modifying the order confirmation, I will actually go to the ForNAV setup. And this is where you can add the logo and the template and so on. But this is also where I can modify the sales template. So what happens now is that I will open the sales template in the ForNAV designer tool. And again, I'm sure some of you have, or many of you have seen this before. So I'm not going to go into this in details, but let me still show you a few things here that are kind of unique to ForNAV. Well, first of all, you have here on the left side, you have different standard controls. Like if you want to add a text box or picture box and so on. You have your properties, which varies depending on whether you look at an entire section or whether you look at a specific field. Very importantly, up here you have the data set, as I mentioned. So of course you know that a sales document consists of a header and some lines. And here I have full access to all fields and also to all the captions. And if I browse through the report, you will see that things here are very recognizable. There might even be some of you who remember the Seaside tool, and you will already now feel at home here. So if I want to do some modification, let me just do something very basic. I'll just select a group of fields, and I'll change the color. I can go in and add a new field. I want to add the invoice number or the order number, and I actually want this as a barcode. So here I select that I now have the order number as a barcode, again without doing any coding at all. And if I look at the properties, you will see we have a long list here of all the barcodes, including QR code that you can imagine. Another thing is that in Business Central, you have a lot of relations between tables. So if you want, for instance, the payment condition or the name of the salesperson written in the description, you have to look up that information in another table, because on the header, you only have the code. And again, that requires in standard that you write 1 or 2 lines of code to look up that information in another table. We did that for you beforehand. We have what we call field lookups. So if I want the salesperson, I simply drag in that, and then I have the name of the salesperson. Now at in time I can do a preview, but let's just say that we are happy with this. So I save this report, and remember I modified the template. But if I go back here and I print an order confirmation, we just do a preview again. You will see here that this has now already been updated without doing anything additional. So even though I modified the sales template, you can see the order is updated as I run it. So we have this part in red, we have the barcode, and we have the name of the sales guy. So this was just a very quick example, and of course I know that some of you might have seen this before, but for those who haven't, we just wanted to give you this, the very brief introduction to what you can do with ForNAV. And I would claim that this could also be done by a customer themselves. We don't see they do it often, but they like to know that they can do it, and then they will, in most cases, still ask you to actually do it for them. But Michael, let's take a look at some of the, I won't call it more advanced because it's not really that advanced, but whatever you want to show, the floor is yours. Michael?
Can you please give me control, Jan?
Oh, I thought you could take it yourself.
Nope.
Sorry. Here we go.
Thank you. Okay, so let's dig into some of the capabilities that ForNAV got over time. So most of you know that in the old good days of C-side, you could go into C-side and change everything. But unfortunately, that's not really the case anymore. You have to build extensions and deploy them using PowerShell. So let me show you how you can do this in ForNAV without extensions and PowerShell, because we can do most of the things you used to be needed to do AL for, but just in the ForNAV designer. So you have the report pack just like Jan showed. I can go into my standard reports. In this case, I'm just going to modify my customer list in here and create a new layout. Just to sign in here, and we should see my report. So this is a standard report, and I can just do preview before I modify, so we can see how this looks beforehand. And by the way, this is a production environment. I'm showing this. It's not advised to modify reports on the production environment, but the reason why I showed it is to emphasize that you don't need to modify extension code. So as a basic, this report is a standard pajamas report with every second row being a different color. But let's say my customer calls me and say I want to have a list of orders for each customer. So go back to designer, then I can simply in my toolbox go in and grab a data item in here and drag this on my customer, and I can write sales head. I can also write the number of the table if I want to. And then since we know about table relations in BC, we can set up the table relation, and we hit in the right relation in 99% of the time. So this is the only thing I need to do, and I'll get the link down here you just saw, and then I have a lot of different settings in here because we know what a sales header is and can set up the sorting, everything, and the filter on the orders. So now I've got the data. I now need some fields in here, and when I dragged in the sales header, I got a new node over here. And basically, I don't need any columns in my data set. They are all sitting here, and I can use any fields from any table in my database just by using drag and drop. So let's go and pick the number. Here, I press Control to multi-select, and then I take the amount. And I simply drag the tool fields in here. Press Shift, or I drop this. Probably got too many headers in here, so let me just Try again. I select too many fields in here, so let's go back and take the number. Press Control and then I take the amount. Hopefully I don't get all the fields. I'll drag it in, press Shift, and say I want to have the header and body section. So now you can see I got my header up here, I got the repeater with my bodies in here, and I got the footer. The reason for the footer is in that we detect as that you're using the amount field, and then we automatically add the footer in here. But you can see that captions are called field captions.field name, and the normal fields are called the field name after the record. What we also do in here, if I click back, is that we automatically set up that amount is a calculated field. We do that automatically, and also we want to have a total on it. And basically, this is all that we need to add sales orders. I can just click preview and look at how this now has changed my customer list. So if I zoom in, you can see now I got my orders underneath. And since this is all stored in a custom layout, there's no code changes, which means that you can rely on us changing the code version over version. So if Microsoft is doing a breaking change, we'll make sure that the reports work in the next version, the version after. You just have to maintain your layouts, and that will be carried forward without any change to the system. So let's say now, I want to deploy this from this system to another system. First, I need to, of course, save this on my server and activate it so it's stored on Business Central. Now if I go back to Business Central over here, I can go to the ForNAV setup page. And here. And then I can go to Actions and Backup, Export. And I'll get a list of the different artifacts I changed in it. I made a change to my setup, and this is the layout I just created. So I can choose all of them or just the layout, and then I can export this into a zip file. And then when you want to use this on a different system, you simply import the zip file there, and you again choose which one to deploy in your system. That's basically the deployment system. So you only send the zip file from one system to another. You don't have to use PowerShell or extension to do so. So basically, most of the things you can in AL, you can also do in ForNAV, and that also includes temp tables. So this is sales header, so I don't need to use a temp table, but I can set my my record on my layout in here to be temporary as well. Then I have another property over here called auto population, and that we use for doing temp tables like item tracking. And those of you who ever dealt with item tracking knows that the table, when you start with it, that's empty, and it's a temp table, and now you have to fill things in it. Fortunately, we have done this for you. So if you set up and just put in a data item with the item tracking, then we'll populate it for you based on the header type, and everything will be automatic for you. You can just use the data in here, so you don't have to code anything to master item tracking, which is a great help when you want to do this. Jan also promised that we would show the new print service capabilities we have. And the background is for this that we of course know that Microsoft has universal print that they support. But we have seen problem with the universal print solution is that it's very generic, and first of all, the standard that universal print uses do not support label printers, which is bad if you use a lot of those, like our customers. Then we know it's hard to deploy it, and also the cost can be worrying if you are doing many print jobs. With ForNAV, we have a print service that supports label printers, of course, and the fee is flat. So once you pay for the ForNAV license, you can more or less print as many print jobs as you want to. To set up the print service, you simply have to use the ForNAV install, and then you get a small add-in, and this needs to be installed on the local PC where you basically have your printers connected. That can be local printers or network printers, but they have to be visible from this PC. And you can see this has enumerated the printers on my system. And then I'll skip this, but I have set up my environment to work with this. You can see I have 4 environments this works with, 2 on-prem and 2 cloud. And these are offline. This is why they show error. But this is basically waiting for response. So I can go now to my Business Central again and go to ForNAV Direct Prints. There's in here. And I can create a new one. Let's call this demo. Want to have queued print jobs, and now I can select one of my printers. So now it here on the cloud somewhere in the Microsoft Cloud, it asks back to my machine through the firewalls and everything, which printers do you have? And I select the spool-zip printer, and now I can print to it. We also support a lot of properties down here. Most of them are like colors and scale, pretty forward, but one thing I want to advertise is the paper source. The problem with paper sources is that there's these standards in here, but most printer manufacturers, including Repackit and HP, and Canon, that don't use these standards, so they have printer-specific paper bins. And to need this, you need to basically go and ask the printer to know which paper bin it has. So we can basically again ask the printer which trays it has, and this spool-zip printer has these 6 different trays. So I can select one of those and use them. So yes, we also support printer trays in here. The print service, of course, works for ForNAV reports, but it also works with Word and RLC reports. So if I can go up here and basically I can call the normal report 1306, which is a Word report that standard comes with Business Central. And now I can simply go up here, and in this case I have not selected printer selection, but I can do that. I can select my print, and then if I do print up here, my printer is simply delivered to the printer, and if I go back to my service, we can hopefully see it's there. So I go to printers, select bullshit, and I open the print queue. We can see that this is a standard sale invoice that's from Microsoft. It was submitted at this time. I have paused it so it's not printed out. We know that it's just a matter of time before printing goes wrong, because a lot of things can happen. Printer drivers can go bad. Somebody stumbled in the cable. It's out of paper, and it always happens Friday afternoon. So to make it easier to troubleshoot, we have done a number of things to do this. So first of all, we can go and look at the event log. Every time a print job is submitted, we write a lot to the event log, and including if there's something wrong with your drivers or anything else on the system. But also on the Business Central time, you can also go in and help yourself. So if I go to the ForNAV print queue, you can see I have a list of my print jobs in here, and I can, if it's just out of paper, it would say so. I could put in paper. I could simply restart the print job or download it so I can send it out. So you're not lost on a Friday afternoon. You can actually get going and get your print job out there. But again, we need to spend a few minutes on the new feature on file services. Can you go back to the slides?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I showed you already that we have a small service that runs on a local system. That means that we have access to printers and also other artifacts in here. And that fact made a lot of partners ask us if we could solve the problem that file access does not longer exist on Business Central. It's gone with Universal Code and Cloud. So if you set the target to Cloud on a Business Central extension, you get this error message. If you want to have file access, you can do this still on-prem and not on cloud, but that will cost you an extra license to get this to work. So we took up the challenge and we have created a new file API that you can use with our print server. So now our print server is a combined file and print service. Can you go to the next slide, Jan?
I'm working on it. Here we go.
Thanks. Okay. So basically, we have taken all the capabilities that the file APIs had in BC, and we extended it. So it's extremely easy to change your current code to use this code instead, and write files or read files. And also, just like the direct print, we only use outgoing HTTPS, which means that we don't have any firewall issues. So you don't have to open any ingoing ports on the system, which is of course mandatory if you do these kind of things. But while we got going, we added a lot of new capabilities. So if you go to the next slide again. So it works both for cloud and on-prem. It's extremely easy to install. You do it just like I showed it with the prints. We added all the things that the file APIs currently can do, and a lot of other stuff, including code pages, bombs. We also made a directory API, so you can look in directory and move files around. So everything you can do with the .NET file API, if you are aware of that, you can also do with the ForNAV file service. So we hope that a lot of people who are moving from on-prem to Universal Code on Cloud actually can use this because it gives you an easy way of getting the code to work. Of course, there's alternatives like SharePoint and other cloud storage, but the feedback we got is that it's clunky to use. You have to do a lot of coding, and of course it costs money if you if you are dealing with a lot of files or huge files. This feature is going to be part of the new ForNAV release, which we're working on, and will be released within a couple of weeks from now. So thanks, Jørgen. This is all I had. So I think we need to move on to Lee.
Thank you, Michael. And just to emphasize that both this new file service and the direct print, it's all included in the ForNAV license. So there's no additional cost for running this. So let's talk a little bit about what we call ForNAV service partners. We basically believe we are fairly good at developing software and rolling software out, but we are not that good at training and providing consultancy. So we partnered up with experts around the globe, all independent businesses who offer training and consultancy. Most of them both to customers and partners, but don't worry, I'm pretty sure that none of them are going to your customer without your acceptance. At least that would be kind of stupid if you ask me. Another good thing about the service partners, apart from being expert, is that they are local, both from a time zone and language perspective. Of course, we help them get started, and we provide them with ongoing support. But I think we should actually hear from one of them. So let me introduce Lee Wallace from Ciellos.
Hey, thank you again, Michael, ForNAV for having me. And yes, again, we are a Microsoft ISV Development Center, and what Microsoft expects out of us is really we're considered a partner for partners. So again, we don't chase end customers, so no, that's not a worry. But we are honored to support Jan and the ForNAV team. We are experienced in all things Dynamics. That's our expertise, but also to include previous versions. Again, NAV, AX, and so on and so forth. So if you want to know what we do, you don't have to call and ask, do you do this in Dynamics? That is what we do. So regarding the support here for ForNAV, yes, we're going to provide, whether you want to go end to end, if you're a novice, if you're new to ForNAV, implementing the solution, we can help you start to finish. But also we're there for those that are, you need to brush up, or there's some, you want to dig a little deeper through the surface and get a little more technical with your setup. We have packages for both. But also we're very flexible, and again, as a development center, we're very partner friendly. We're kind of we really enjoy working with Jan and his team, because at the end of the day, we're not about trying to make some quick money off you or your folks. We're here for the long term and looking for long-term partnerships with partners. So Jan, I really appreciate you all for having me and using us and selecting us as one of your partners for support. I've also provided my information there below. If you need anything or want to get in touch with me or Ciellos, learn more about us and what we do, by all means, feel free to reach out, call, email, anytime. And then also, Jan, I believe we have the next slide. We put together a few packages, and this is just to give you a flavor of a couple of the packages. Again, like I mentioned before, basic training. We can help you get started, get you on your feet with the basic high levels, or we can take an existing customer that's been using ForNAV and help you troubleshoot, ongoing training, nuanced training, so on and so forth. So thank you all. Feel free to reach out to me. Please take my information down, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, Lee. So let me just summarize on this what we heard the last 40 minutes or so. So we have our report pack with 90+ standard reports that has all been redesigned, both from a visual point of view, but we certainly also cleaned up the code in those reports. We have the direct print capabilities. We have our designer tool that you saw a glimpse of, and we have our converter. We have on our YouTube channel, they're also available from our website. We have what we call coffee breaks, which are 10-15 minute short videos, typically on a specific subject. So let's say you want to add a serial number or other kind of traceability to your invoice. You just show this video, and then hopefully you're good to go. I don't know the exact number, but I think we are close to 100 of these coffee breaks on our website and on our YouTube channel by now, and we keep adding these on a weekly basis. Some of the key features, our template technology, so you only have to maintain things in one place, our labels, both with and without barcodes, the direct print, and then of course there were a lot of things that we didn't get to in such a short time, but we have our print to Excel, our translation tool, and of course we have a ton of more features in the designer that we didn't get to either. So if you want to learn more about this, we have a free trial available both on AppSource and on our website. The only limitation is we add a watermark. Maybe you saw it in the demo, a trial watermark. So that means you can try this yourself. You can show it to customers. You can actually deploy it with customers so they can see it. And if they are happy with what they see and what you have done for them, they simply buy the license from you, and then they are good to go. So whatever modifications you've done on the trial will still be running after you buy the license. And if you want to learn more, please write to us or write to Lee if you're looking for training or consultancy. So with that, I like to see or hear if we have any questions. And Stephanie, you might want to help me here. We have one here from Brian. Does each user need to set up the print service? Michael, do you want to talk to that?
No, you only need one for each local office. So Typically one would be enough, but if you have many offices and they have their own printer setup, you need one for each. So you don't have to set it up for all customers or all end users.
Thanks, Michael. Now I lost the questions window. You could probably tell I'm not an expert on GoToWebinar. That's interesting. If anybody on the panel can help me if we have any additional questions.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, don't see on my end.
Say it again, Lee.
I do not see any on my end, but I don't know if I have the correct view.
Okay, good.
I don't think we have the correct view yet.
No, I have the same here.
Otherwise, just write us a mail if you have any questions that we didn't get to. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time, and if you want to learn more, please write to us. We'll be more than happy to set up an online session for each of your teams. So just reach out and we'll be there for you. Thank you and have a very nice day.